Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today is a pretty big day in the sense that Spider Man No Way Home has now released in theaters, at least here in the United States. And we're going to be reporting from this article coming from Deadline. I know this is a few days old, but this is effectively a box office prediction for the movie, and that is Spider Man No Way Home global box office to sling minimum $290 million in opening weekend. Now, before we go any further, keep in mind, this is just a box office prediction. These notoriously have been wrong in the past. So this is not a definitive number. We will probably be doing an immediate follow-up to this, probably the following Monday or Tuesday, to see if these numbers were even right. But let's actually dig into the article and let's actually see like why they're predicting that this movie is going to make at minimum $290 million when no other movie in 2021 has even hit that number. And they're predicting that Spider-Man No Way Home will hit $290 million in the opening weekend minimum. For all the crazy exhibition has endured during the pandemic, for all the craziness, I apologize, I read that wrong. For all the craziness exhibition has endured during the pandemic, including streaming threats, day and date window crunching, older demos not showing up, local ordinances, and countless release date changes and eliminations, Sony's Spider-Man No Way Home arrives this weekend to save the day. The hope here is that Sony's theatrical window respecting release not only jolts the worldwide cinema attendee population back into seats as we head into 2022, but also makes moviegoing a habit once again for the masses. No holiday distraction, Los Angeles weekend rainstorm, or alarmist news headlines will prevent people from heading out, especially the box office most reliable 18 to 34 crowd. When all is said and done, Spider-Man No Way Home will have a fight well worth having and settling between Sony and Disney, the latter who co-financed this $200 million sequel at 25%, while also having Tom Holland's web slinger appear in another Disney/Marvel film. The multiverse tee-up or culmination, either description works, set off rolling audiences' screams at last night's world premiere in Westwood as various MCU and Sony Marvel cameos, spoiler alert, Doctor Strange is one of them, hit the screen. The pick is already 97% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and as of the recording of this video, that score has actually gone down, but it's only gone down to 94%. It's not at Eternals level, where that movie, like, at its highest was like 60%, but then dropped down to like 48 or 47, wherever the hell that dropped down to. Ranking as the best reviewed Sony live-action Spider-Man movie to date. Again, that can always change as more critic reviews start to come out over the course of opening weekend. Fans are expecting a smart sequel that raises the stakes in a way no other Spider-Man has, and they're happily going to get what they've been asking for. There's arguably more action in No Way Home than Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and it's certainly easier to follow and has more heart than the Byzantine-plotted Eternals. Again, not my words. This is coming directly from Deadline. They're calling Eternals basically a Byzantine plot. I've never seen the movie, have personally no interest in it, so I'm just going to take their word for it at face value, whatever that means. Note that with any movie destined to gross north of $100 million plus on tracking, there's a great standard of deviation given the small sampling of box office numbers. As far as its US-Canada prospects go, Sony is seeing at least $130 million at 4,325 locations, and Thursday previews starting very early at 3 p.m., with all the strength of IMAX and PLF screens. I have no idea what PLF screens are. I do apologize for that. Rivals in tracking see the opening much higher in the $175 million plus range, possibly even $200 million range, though everyone is high because No Way Home is the biggest movie they've seen on tracking for quite some time. Reminiscent numerically to big December openers like the month's number 2 Star Wars The Last Jedi at $220 million back in 2017, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker at $177.3 million in 2019, and Star Wars Rogue One $155 million in 2016. Sony in recent years has never been a studio to get over their skis in box office projections. Better to underpromise and overdeliver. But seriously, anything emulating or besting the $90 million pandemic opening record of the Culver City Lots Venom Let There Be Carnage is pretty damn good. To date, Sony's biggest domestic opening belongs to 2007 Spider-Man 3, which made $151.1 million during the first weekend of May. But again, that's primarily because 2002 Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 were so good that it led to the huge opening weekend of Spider-Man 3, which led to the huge gross. I personally don't think Spider-Man 3 is all that bad of a movie. It's definitely a mixed bag with all the bullshit that they, tried to cram in there with Sandman and Venom, but overall not terrible. But yeah, you're never gonna sell me on the emo Peter Parker as a great addition to Spider-Man 3. Why are Rivals' projections so high for No Way Home? Because pre-sales for the latest John Watts MCU title are at record levels. Deadline hears from industry sources that advanced ticket sales at this point in time for No Way Home are running 20% ahead of Rise of Skywalker and 35% behind Avengers Endgame, the latter yielding the biggest domestic opening of all time with $357.1 million. Before its weekend opening, Endgame had logged $120 million, which puts No Way Home in the $78 million range currently. Overseas projections are between $160 to $180 million. These numbers come with COVID cadicules for sure. I believe I mispronounced that word, but fuck it, I'm going to leave it in anyway. This week's No Way Home rollouts start Wednesday, notably in Korea, the UK, France, Russia, Mexico, and Italy. Joining the opening suite through Friday are Germany, Brazil, the Netherlands, India, and Spain, among others. No Way Home does not yet have a China date and is unlikely to slot before the end of 2021. Could No Way Home possibly become the first movie during the pandemic to ultimately cross $1 billion and without China? That's what's on many distribution heads' minds right now. The previous Sony/Disney installment 2019 Spider-Man Far From Home is a tough comp since it bowed early in China, Japan, and Hong Kong during the summer, swinging in with a $111 million opening frame from just those three markets, unadjusted for inflation, of course. Adding most of the world the following weekend, it rose to a $395 million international box office debut. China was the lead market on Far From Home at nearly $200 million, followed by Korea, the UK, Mexico, and Japan. At the lowest point worldwide, Spider-Man No Way Home is looking at a $290 million start, and if things go gonzo and there's a flood of walk-up business, the Holland Zendaya movie could then see $380 million worldwide, up to $380 million worldwide, mind you. That's a big jump from what we've seen so far in the COVID era. Universal's Fast and Furious 9, or F9 for short, touted a $163 million global opening, while Disney/MCU's Eternals posted $161.7 million. It's recent figures like that, plus the whole Omicron of it all, that has Sony assessing No Way Home with a grain of salt. Still, the advanced optics here are way too good. China's Detective Chinatown 3 remains the pandemic's biggest opening weekend ever at $400.4 million. Note that the biggest global opening for Sony is Spider-Man 3 with $381.66 million. Spider-Man Far From Home ranks second with $295.8 million. That latter sequel ultimately became the highest grossing Sony movie ever with $1.13 billion. And yes, that is billion with a B. Searchlight has Guillermo del Toro's spooky noir Nightmare Alley, which is going wide in 2,120 theaters. Tracking stands at $5 to $6 million stateside, off critical reviews on Rotten Tomatoes that are 86% fresh. The movie follows an ambitious carnage. Okay, this is just going in a Nightmare Alley. Personally, I'm just gonna say, don't get your hopes up. And this is the problem with tracking. I would much rather them, have their expectations in reality. I think $290 million opening weekend is way, way too large. most movies couldn't hit anywhere near that. I know Shang-Chi made a shit ton of money. What was it? Was it like 80 or 90 million dollars over Labor Day weekend? So I'm not saying that it's impossible, but if the prediction had been closer to like 100 to 125 million, I don't think it would be that far out of the ballpark. The problem is, I think tracking has, this movie is tracking wants to have this movie really, swing for the fences, really shoot for the moon. But in reality, it may miss. Again, this video is absolutely going to require a follow-up the following Monday or Tuesday to see where the movie really hit opening weekend. And guys, that's pretty much all I've got for you. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And actually, if you're going to see Spider-Man No Way Home opening weekend, do let me know in the comments. Personally, I'm not going to go out of my way to go see it because I'm kind of fed up with the MCU myself. So I'm probably going to wait for it to come out. I'm probably going to wait for it to come out on home video. But anyway, guys, I'm truly going to end it right here. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, I'm terrible at ending these videos. So I will just see you guys on next time.